Good evening, folks. This is Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update on Friday, February 23rd, 10:35 p.m. Mountain Time, 2018. What you're looking at is Mount Teed on Tenerife in the Canary Islands. This massive volcano erupted in the 1500s and in the 1700s multiple times, forming these calderas you're looking at here, these stratocones sitting here on the top of the caldera. Now this volcanic island complex owned by Spain off of the coast of Africa is awakened due to cosmic ray flux during grand solar minimums, and we may need to be watching this, and we'll be talking about it later in the video, but let's get on with the update. Multi-day heavy rainfall and flooding event continues in the central and southern U.S. Look at these pictures of downtown. My goodness, totally fluxed. At least 3 people have died in widespread floods across central and southern United States over the past couple of days. Friday, February 23rd will be another day with heavy rains, which will further flux the risk of flash flooding and long-term flooding in the southern plains and lower Mississippi, Ohio River valleys. The National Weather Service Prediction Center has issued warnings for everywhere. Here we are. 447 total gauges at or above near flood stage, with 156 gauges coming in at minor flooding. And more rain is forecast for the next 72 hours. That's several days, and we're going to be watching this. More snow, rain, and take aim at western Washington after record low temps. Check out these totals. Mount Baker, 7.7 inches. Stevens Pass, 5 inches. Snoqualmie Pass, 7.3. Paradise, heads up, Rainier, 7.4. Record low temps were the opening scene Friday morning in a day that went on to feature follow-up scenes of snowfall that was likely to transition to cold rain by evening. Welcome to the grand solar minimum, where crops have a difficult time of living and record temperatures are broken. Seattle, old record 27, shattered 24 back to 2011. Olympia, new record at 16, breaking the 20-degree record back in 2005. Bellingham, 19, old record 22 back in 1952, and on and on and on. Most of those records recent. I wonder why that could be. Could it have something to do with cosmic rays increasing, more cloud nucleation and record flooding, atmospheric rivers causing cooling of the planet, and a change in the entire climate dynamics in the likes of which we've never seen ever in human times? Could be. If it's not, then I'm wrong. And Al Gore was right. Oh, we just erased something there. Brrr! This is Oregon. Redmond chills to record -5 as cold snap hits. Alpine area recorded as low as -15. This particular gauge is at -9. Everywhere it was cold. We're talking Bend, Oregon. Central Oregon shivered and bundled up under clear skies that set temperatures plunging to or below 0 on Friday, setting a record for the date for Redmond in Oregon at 5 degrees and leading to some school bus delays. Sorry, kiddies. Record cold Friday morning. Look at this guy. He doesn't have a scraper, so he's using a CD. This is the kind of ingenuity we need going into the grand solar minimum, guy. He might make it. I doubt it. And that's a boom. Frigid morning temps in Salem, Oregon tie the record low for February 23rd. God, there's a few records up in the PNW. The cold temperatures that greeted mid-Willamette Valley residents Friday were almost historic. Salem, Vancouver, and Troutdale all tied record lows for February 23rd, while Eugene, Portland, and Astoria broke their records. According to the National Weather Service, the previous record for Salem was set in 1920 at 22 degrees, pushing it all the way back into the centennial minimum at cycle 14. Looking ahead, winter weather advisory issued by the National Weather Service for light snow. We told you, Oregon and Washington are going to be pummeled from now till Sunday with over 2 feet of snow in the mountains. And there is no relief in sight. The snow is continuing in all GFS models, including a Siberian blast to be returning next month. Snowfall could set new records. 2 inches of snow falls on North Platte this weekend. This is heads up, Nebraska. The previous record for Nebraska 3 months was in 1980 and 81 when North Platte received 34.3 inches, and they've broken that record. Beginning late Friday night, meteorologists predict another 4 to 8 inches of snow will fall. And Nebraska is breaking snowfall records. That is the breadbasket of North America, folks. This is disgusting. Quebec City to dump 46 million liters of sewage right into your drinking water. It doesn't matter. The St. Lawrence River also already has huge concentrations of things like thorazine and other psychoactive drugs from the pharmaceutical industry. That's how disgusting the earth you live in is. And the companies that claim they're protecting you, these billion-dollar multinational corporations and the pharmaceutical industry is specifically making you sick so they make more money. And Quebec City is now making you sicker. It's warning residents it will be dumping these 46 million liters of untreated wastewater directly into the river that you fish in over a 12-hour period starting Thursday night at 11. Stay away. Now, the flooding is also causing massive amounts of toxic waste to be dumped into local cities that are along rivers that are along those 400 rivers that are flooding. All the wastewater treatment plants are located always along the banks of major rivers, specifically so that they can toxify the entire community, apparently. I used to live in a river town, and it's absolutely insane what happens on the banks of rivers. Now, Europe is bracing for the beast from the east. Cold snap, potentially the most severe in 5 years. Well, that's not a very long time because we're talking in the next 3 years, a cold snap is going to be the most severe in 200 years. And it's called the modern eddy minimum. So buckle your seatbelts because you're right at the bottom of solar minimum for cycle 24, and it's only going to increase in severity for the next 2 years. So these computer models forecast a bout of bitter cold to sweep over Europe for the next several days, very possibly the most extreme in a few years. Ooh, that sounds like a fear-monger nonsense. Wear your scarves if you're in the UK. It's just winter. Now, Europe is bracing for the most severe cold snap ever. And I love how they name it, the beast from the east. This is, see how they rehash it on this? Judah Cohen, a meteorologist. The well-anticipated, most widespread cold temperatures ever. Thank you, Al Gore. This is because of global warming. Warming up the Arctic to amazing temperatures. Seismic uptick on the West Coast, North American, has been live. Guys, you're probably rocking here. See an aftershock and some layered quakes here on the San Andreas. Diablo, stovepipes. There's a 3.5 in Danville. Yellowstone area is still rocking. And here, an interesting 3.2 in Pioche, Nevada. Which could be quarry related or fracking related. The only other quake felt by humans, probably this 4.6 in Nami, Japan. Some minor rumbling in Fiji, and the typical quakes in the Indonesian region, which should be worrying us because we're waiting on a large quake or a large volcano to blow in that particular sector. Take a look at space weather, solar minimum sun. Here we are in A range. Now, the plasma stream we talked about yesterday is quieting down, which is going to lead to an uptick in more seismic activity as the KP drops down towards zero. We went into a geomagnetic storm for a brief moment, 3 hours here. Up at KP5. And let's talk about some new volcanoes erupting today, including Dukono and Ibico. Here we are at Volcano Discovery, Worldwide Volcano News Update. We have Fuego, Dukono, Sabancayo, and Ibico. I'll leave you links to all this down bottom left, show more in gray under Oppenheimer Ranch. Click on it and you'll get links to this. Dukono volcano erupted today. You can clearly see this ash plume, which is going to lead to aviation warnings. So I went and checked. I have never seen an ash cloud near Dukono like this. It's been erupting since 1933, ongoing, with a major eruption in 1550 and 1719 and 1868. It loves the Maunder minimum. And here we have aviation color going to orange today. But there is no articles on the mainstream wire about this volcano erupting. You're only going to get this information from Boom Studios. And that's a heads up. Because the sky is falling. And global warming is the reason. Man, I can't keep this up much longer. So here we're talking about the Indonesian complex of Dukono. I'll leave you links to this from the Smithsonian Institute. Here's the location. Boom. Which is right on the Philippine island chain here. Just south. Eruptive activity at Dukono started in 1933 and has continued with major eruptive events during 1550 and 1700s during the Maunder minimum all the way up through the Centennial minimum. There's more to talk about. We're over here directly at the IGN web resource in Spain, where activity is picking up, including today we have a 3.4 Cabo de San Vicente off the coast. But I want to bring your attention to La Palmas and the Canary Islands here off of Africa. So we're just going to come in here. And so this is Teide, Mount Teide, which is Tenerife. So I'm going to leave you links to Teide, which is right here. Tenerife is the major island in the Canaries, and the mountain Teide is right here. And if we quick look at a 10-day, you can see the seismic uptick at La Palma, which is the massive tsunami warning landslide. So the last 10 days, there's been massive activity here in the La Palma area. So we're going to continue to watch this, but it has fallen off in the last 3 days. There is also significant activity setting up in the Teide area. And I've been watching this uptick for months. And there's something happening off the shore here. There's magma moving into this region of Mount Teide. So we're going to keep an eye on this. If we go to the 10-day, La Palma also is something we should be watching. So I'll leave you links to all of these resources so you can do your own watching and you can get up to snuff here. Now, Teide has had eruptive events. There's the little 3D panoramic view, which is really trippy. Just fun to look at. And these cinder cones on the top here are from the 1500 and 1700 eruptions. Now, this major caldera, when that went off, that was probably VEI 6 or 7. So this is an area we really want to be watching, because Teide is a sacred mountain for the Aboriginal Wenatches, so it was considered a mythological mountain, such as Mount Olympus. And according to legend, the devil kidnapped Majek, the god of light and the sun, and imprisoned him in the volcano, plunging the world into darkness. Oh my God. Thank you, Wikipedia. Grand solar minimum much? We're waiting. And I'm getting a little dizzy here. So let's get on with the update. New cutting edge science confirms Antarctica is burning away and melting. Look at how much it's melting. There's been about 150 of these articles in the last month and a half about Antarctica melting away. And I'll leave you links to this piece of nonsense. And let's talk about the reality. There's deep boreholes coming off the Ross ice shelf that just went into the Antarctic, and they find freezing ice not melting as expected, according to all of the scientific papers that are claiming that all the ice shelves are melting. The reality is they were blown away. They were absolutely blown away by what they found on the Ross ice shelf. The entire bottom of the ice sheet is growing. Now, the surprise began almost as soon as cameras were lowered into the first borehole on December 1st. You see, because the undersides of these ice shelves are usually smooth due to gradual melting. The building happens on top of the ice sheet from snow. And as the weight of the snow builds from the top, they push down and the bottoms of the sheet melt. That's the way glacial scientists in the global warming world have been considering glaciers. So they got this amazing hot water drill hose and they started drilling down. And this team of scientists was from New Zealand. Now the jet of hot water drilled down more than 1,100 feet into the bottom of the ice. And here we go. And what they found, as the camera passed through the bottom of the hole, it showed the underside of the ice. Now here, watch. Right here, watch it. It starts to get crystal clear. The layers of flat ice crystals, like a jumble of snowflakes, evidence that in this particular place, seawater is freezing to the base of the ice instead of melting it. It absolutely blew the scientists' minds. This is all brand new glacial ice you're looking at to the right. Brand new. That's why it's so clear and fresh. Christina Hubble said, "It blew our minds." She's from the University of Otago, New Zealand, who co-led the expedition. The Ross ice shelf is considered extremely stable at this point. And no fear-mongering is necessary any longer. According to the scientists from New Zealand. Thank you, guys. That's a real science boom. And that's a sonic boom. Let's go over to the Greenland ice sheet, to more real scientists at the Danish Meteorological Institute, who are actually showing us the current surface mass budget of Greenland's ice sheet. This is how much ice is there. Now, this is current here. February 23rd. This is the average from 1981 to 2010. You could see there is epic amounts of more ice now than the mean. And that's because you're being lied to. Look at the uptick here in the Arctic, straight up as predicted. As we get into this cold phase, the curvature is happening now as we're speaking. It might get out of the mean for 2016-17 and the mean since back to 1981 and be breaking all-time records back here the way it did in 16-17 shortly, especially with this vertical uptick. And we're expected this huge polar vortex to be sitting above the Arctic for a while, especially Greenland. So the Greenland mass ice budget is at all-time record highs, well above the average for the last 30 years. And that's the truth in a real science boom. There's the data. I'll leave you links to it. Let's talk about our radio program to get the word out on what we need to be doing to survive and thrive in the coming weather changes, guys, just go to freedomslips.com. Come over to your schedules, click on Schedule A, and you'll be where I'm at. Come to the bottom, you'll see our show right here on Wednesday from 10 to midnight. The Inconvenient Truth, Prepping for the Grand Solar Minimum. This is us. And then Mini Ice Age Conversations, which we were just on last night, is on Thursday nights in the same slot. If you want to listen, you just click this button. We're in Studio A. So when you come over here at the right time, anywhere at the website, just click the play button and you'll be parsed right in to the radio program. So a lot of you are asking, how do I listen to the radio? Just click Studio A, play. You can hit play and listen to it all day and listen to all the programs on Revolution Radio. That's what we want you to do, because this is where the real information is. So that's a heads up. And I talked to Robert Felix, the author, Not by Fire but by Ice, and Magnetic Reversals and Evolutionary Leaps. One of my heroes. I can't wait to have a one-on-one with this guy from the University of Minnesota School of Architecture. He then attended the University of Washington to learn about his passion, which is geology and earth changes. Similar to Randall Carlson, who's also an architect, must be something in the architect's blood, how they know about geology. But I can't wait to share my knowledge with him and to hear what he has to say. And that's going to be coming up on Wednesday, February 28th at 10 p.m. on Revolution Radio Studio A, where Robert Felix is going to be our first guest on our grand opening show. Whatever that means. Guys, I hope you got something out of the video. Real science boom here at the Oppenheimer Ranch Project. Share this with like-minded people. Share this with people that are global warming alarmists so that we ruin their day. Because our purpose is to get the word out. And that's a boom. We use real science at Boom Studios to get the facts out. And the facts are that the predicted data is based on historical documents and a multidisciplinary approach to climate science, using paleoclimatology, sun science, plasma physics, and all available data back into the historical record, including mythology, to prove that we're in a cyclic pattern downward, repeating a larger cycle, which is in the glacial terms an ice age, and we are at the sea level fall period. You're going to be alive for some amazing events in your lifetime. And even the mainstream is believing it, because they're predicting a period of solar diminishment for the next 100+ years. And as cosmic rays increase and the magnetic pole flips, I can't wait to hear what Robert Felix has to say about what you and I have to look forward to in the future. If you want to survive and thrive, now is the time to start preparing for global unrest and catastrophic empire failure, however that may happen. Be safe, everybody.